I've talked about this before. I think I need to talk about the principle of why you should probably take notice this time. Now, Bitcoin is a very, very scarce asset, even more scarce now post-halving. It has outperformed every single investment asset in the last decade. So, for example, the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, gold, silver, etc. If you bought Bitcoin X amount of years ago versus them, you're way up. I also feel it will continue to do so too. But what people fail to comprehend and need to do is ultimately accumulate Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, accumulate wealth via altcoins, selling into Bitcoin, which is the premise of this video in terms of why you need to do that, and not worry too much about the dollar value. The dollar is dying, okay? So let's get into it. If you like this sort of content, leave a like, it massively helps. Let's hit 1,000 likes. This might be my last video for a while. A lot of stuff going on in my life, as you may know. So let's get a good send off, yeah? So the first thing we need to talk about is Jack Dorsey. His company, Block, part of the Cash App empire as well. If you think about it, their parent company. Their profits on their first quarter of earnings, they are going to be stating they are putting 10% of its gross profit into Bitcoin. This is not alien to people. We have a lot of things that are Bitcoin related right now. MicroStrategy, as an example. Look at how Coinbase is doing. I'm going to come on to that in a minute. But this is another one. More and more banks, more and more institutions, more and more companies are putting wealth slowly into Bitcoin. So when we go a little bit deeper in terms of this, the decision to do 10% of the gross profit into Bitcoin products is a nice number. I will highlight it. $80 million. Wow. So a decent chunk of money is going to go into that. Dollar cost averaging into it. Reported nearly $6 billion in revenue for the first quarter, beat expectations. This company is probably going to grow and grow and grow because a lot of people are not using banks. People don't like that third-party kind of intervention, okay? So let's move on to the next bit. A new wave of capital inflows into Bitcoin. Possibly. Let's look at this. This is the interesting part. Now, this is a tweet here from yesterday. BlackRock sees sovereign wealth funds, pensions come into Bitcoin ETFs. This is probably where we're going to go. Now, this is the thing. The BlackRock and the other ETFs in Bitcoin have been very, very successful, right? A lot of people will be waiting to see off the back of the results of those over a 6 to 9 to 12 month period before they go, yeah, I might go into this now. You're going to probably find a lot more people do it. If BlackRock, keyword is if, they are starting to use for potential diversification to wealth funds and stuff like that, such as pensions, you could see even more players coming into it. And you can see here, they have filed, stuff. This is crazy when you think. The second largest European bank have started buying into, it's not massive amounts. Let me just put that premise out there. It's a fucking little toe dip, right? But when we talk about the fact that this is happening right now, bit scary when you think about where it could be going. If you could come back to this video in 3 years' time thinking, whoa, something, this is a bit crazy, this. It's interesting, right? So, as I say, it is not a massive, it's $41,000, fucking hell. It's not much, but it's a significant step in terms of the direction of where it's going. Again, we talk about it. Wealth, funds, wave of new capital inflows. Is it going to be the catalyst? We're going to do price analysis in this video. I bet you can't wait for that. ETFs, right? This is where we're at. We're doing okay. Bit of outflows recently, but nothing to be alarmed of. There's still a net inflow. It's looking okay. Yeah, money's turned off a little bit. Nothing too alarming though, let's be honest. Another thing we're going to talk about is Coinbase. Coinbase earnings post a $1.2 billion net income in Q1. Surpasses the entire 2023 earnings. This is brutal. Absolute savage. Coinbase is one of the investments I've got in my traditional market stock portfolio. Yeah. Wow. Now, I think, personally, it's sold off due to this news. I think a lot of Wall Street don't understand what the significance of this is. Bitcoin miners, MicroStrategy, Coinbase, and other infrastructure around cryptocurrency as traditional market vehicles could well create you a lot of wealth, potentially. Not financial advice, of course, but if you're in crypto, you should probably look at those. There's a lot of money here. The growth of Coinbase is ridiculous. Remember, Coinbase, as much as I don't really use it, custodian to the ETFs. The amount of people coming through the Bitcoin market is significantly increasing. Bitcoin's becoming more mature. There's a lot of money to be made from these companies, right? They're going to make a lot of money. That's going to reflect in their earnings. It's going to reflect in the stock market price. As shareholders are going to be very, very happy, right? Price analysis. For a lot of people that have been watching me for a while, you've probably not seen a price analysis video for a long time. A little bit of a fibception going on here, why I think the retail of the market is going to come back in around 83k. That's the clear break of all-time high. Now, open question to a lot of people. Do you believe, Ash, that we are going to see a left translated cycle? No, I don't. We're going to talk about cycle methodology in a minute. There has been a number of situations around the market where we consolidate. We've consolidated pretty aggressively down here. We've aggressively consolidated here and here as well, not really highlighted. But there's a big chance here, this big correction here, which we're currently in, we may well consolidate around this point and then we may go higher. Now, I've got two fibs on my chart here. From the swing high of the previous all-time high to the swing low, going up. I've also got one from the previous swing low to the swing high as a correction. We are currently just below that 382, potentially going toward the 618. We could go lower here. We've also corrected much higher. Now, this is where I believe, and as I say, there's two Fibonacci's on here, which will give you an idea. One from the swing high, one from the swing, you get the idea. So there's two. Hugely important. $83,000 would be a clear indication break of all-time high, and FOMO may well come in. $83,000 sounds pretty nice, right? Too. If we go there, we're probably going to get a lot of juice to the market. That will then indicate that something's going to happen with the market, which is why you need to pay attention. Start paying attention. Why? Because Bitcoin dominance, if I can find it, will probably start to do something. We've had a spike up towards this potential area of a drop. Now, this is all speculation, not financial advice. It is not wizardry. It is an area of key significance where I think the Bitcoin market could get sent to, i.e. dominance. Bitcoin might become more dominant as we hit 83k. However, it might not. Basically, the indication that we're looking for, this needs to start trending down. So let's go into it in more detail. As you know, higher dominance is, the more likelihood is your altcoins are low. The lower the dominance is, the more likelihood they are high. You need to get in when the dominance is high, okay? This is the premise of the video. If you are looking to grow wealth, and we're going to talk about the Bitcoin side of it, you need to understand, firstly, what Bitcoin is. Secondly, you need to understand that altcoins are to be used and abused, right? You use them in cycles, you buy low, you sell high, right? Not rocket science. People forget that. They get married to the bags and they get very upset when you start to sell stuff, right? Now, when we start trending, let me just reverse and invert this. When our, oh God, yeah, let's do that. We've inverted this chart. What we're looking for is this. In the future, now to me, this is obviously inverted, looking very nicely for a potential retest of this region. We're in a fucking horrible uptrend, downtrend, right? Get the idea? We're looking for the market to do this in our own kind of situation. It's very simple. We're waiting for it to melt. I think we're going to go higher first, then melt. When it starts trending down, you're going to hopefully see a lot of return go in for the human greed factor of Bitcoin's high. Yay! Shit, I'm not buying that 83k. I'm never going to make any money. Then people start shifting to altcoins. They will buy Bitcoin Cash, they'll buy Ethereum Classic, they'll buy freaking Litecoin, all the other altcoins, and they'll start going up, right? The tide will rise. There will be narratives though, but this is a fact that you need to massively, massively consider, right? We are in a bull market, right? Now, as I say, there'll be niche bull markets. You need to, at some point, return your investment back to you, right? It's called profit taking. People don't like it, I know, but to plug something in for you, you're never going to make money if you don't sell. No one goes broke taking profit. You get the idea? We're in a bull market. We have had a correction, a pretty brutal correction currently. However, you need to understand the methodology here. You can have wealth via Bitcoin through your altcoins, and you can hold Bitcoin a lot more. Now, I'm going to go through some open questions because I know you're going to ask me these in the comments because it always happens. Let me get onto that in a second. By the way, if you're wondering what this indicator is at the top and why it's so amazing, check out the links in Learning Crypto. It is a phenomenal indicator for momentum and the trends. One thing that has said, and I don't really like to agree with market technical analysis on a market cap dominance indicator, there's a bit of a divergence there. If that plays out and it is the top, it'll be amazing. We'll see if it does. Anyways, this bit's important. As I've alluded to, we are in a bull cycle. Things are going to obviously tail off. Now, when we talk about wealth, when we talk about the dollar, pounds, inflation, right? Scarcity. None of that happens in the US dollar, the Great British Pound, the euro. They print it. Everything's very, very expensive. Have you seen how expensive your food is? Now, I talk about this a lot. Open question. Why do you hold Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin to me is a store of value and wealth in crypto, right? More Bitcoin I have, the more wealthy I am versus other people, right? That's kind of the crux of it. I can manage that Bitcoin position. If Bitcoin I feel is overvalued, I will sell some of it and I will look to rebuy back low. Kind of obvious. People look at Bitcoin and think, wow, it's just going to melt and I'm going to lose my money. People need to forget about the dollar value, right? If you've got 2 or 3 Bitcoin, cool. If you've got 10 Bitcoin, wow. If you've got 15 Bitcoin, cool. The idea is to grow as much Bitcoin as possible, but don't be silly. Remember, it's an investment, not financial advice, of course, but if you feel it's overvalued, you should be doing something about it. If you think it's undervalued, you should be doing something about it. It's all about growth of wealth. It's like if you're buying Apple stock. It's like if you're buying Costco stock, Coinbase stock, whatever. If it's like growing gold units or investing in numbers of property, right? If you've got 10 properties, you're probably richer than the next guy on the street at the end of the day, right? It doesn't matter what the perceived value is. You do not look at it. The problem is, and I think this in crypto is massive, people go, oh, but if you buy Bitcoin, what about if it goes down by 30%? If it goes down by 30%, cool, whatever, right? You should be managing that position. That's the whole point. The problem is people look at altcoins and think they're going to get rich, but they're not. They are forgetting when to sell, right? And that's when the exit liquidity comes in and everyone, the smart people get rich and the poorer get poor. That's kind of how it is. So when we look at the likes of the BTC pairs, if they're low today, why aren't you doing anything about it, right? If they're going to be very, very high, why aren't you doing anything about it? Open questions, I know. But you need to understand fully why Bitcoin will probably change your life longer term versus some altcoins. Altcoins will make you rich in a very short period of time, but only if you take profit, right? Because I personally, if you look at a lot of these coins here, how many of these will survive in the next 10 years? We've already know, and there's loads of videos on my YouTube channel showing you how, well, if you held these altcoins for a long period of time, you probably would be wrecked right now. People don't quite grasp that. So you need to start considering what to do. And what to do is simple. You sell altcoins when dominance has trended down and has bottomed or going to close to a bottom in the dominance charts. That would then indicate that a lot of these pairs are worth a lot more. Not all of them. Some of them will fail. These are just random ones, by the way. Some of these are just big assets. Some of these are just random assets. Chainlink, for example, if this shoots up here, it's going to be 4 or 5 times its value. If Bitcoin goes up 2-3x, it's going to be even more. And then you look to take profit, right? Don't get married to your bags. Anyways, if you like this video, please do leave a like. There's a video here floating around. This is probably the next one you should watch that will probably make this even easier to understand.